Hi YouTube, and this is JTrain997, and I'm back this time with my review of Thor, the Mighty Avenger Sword Spike Thor figure. Of course, this is my first Thor figure. I actually found these guys today. Target kind of ignored the street date on them. Unfortunately, all I found was like the variations of Thor. I didn't find any of the other guys except the Frost Giant. Odin and Loki were all gone. But there were several different variations of Thor, and this guy seemed to be the most standard. He's got the regular costume. He's got the hammer that doesn't light up. The sword that has a hidden spike in it. Very nice. Unfortunately, what I couldn't tell in packaging here, what I couldn't tell from the packaging when I saw it online, there's no base, which is really disappointing to me. I was really hoping they'd get a base, but oh well. It's not the end of the world. You can see he's number 2 in the series. And also up here, what a lot of the newer lines are getting is the Avengers Assemble logo with a shield logo in the center, Iron Man, Thor, and Cap. Really pimping out Avengers. But, of course, let's go into the back of the box here. You can see Thor up here, and it says, Thor's the master of nearly every weapon in Asgard's arsenal. The dwarves created Thor's power sword to allow him to channel his otherworldly abilities and defeat any foe that dares to cross his path. The unusual blade hums with divine might as Thor charges the internal spike with the power of his lightning. Press button to reveal hidden sword spike. Down here on the bottom, you've got a picture of Shield Bash Marvel's Odin, Lightning Clash Thor, which is the essentially... he looks just like this figure, except his hammer lights up when you press his head. And Secret Strike Loki. So, very nice. That being said, this guy looks awesome. Let's pull him out of the packaging. And here we have Sword Spike Thor out of packaging. Now, his sword, which is incredibly oversized, even compared to the figure himself. You press this button, it pops open, and if you're like me, sometimes these little bits pop off, which might tip me off had I bought the figure for the sword, but oh well. And there's just this little, I don't know, staff crystal inside. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, there we go. I don't know, it's nothing special. I'm tossing it off to the side, never using it again. I wanted this guy for Thor. And he is still a pretty solid figure. The cape likes to pop off. I was surprised it wasn't permanently attached. And it does kind of become a pain having to realign that peg hole just right, but oh well. Now let's get him standing and go into his detail here. They've done a pretty decent job on his face sculpt there. Very nice on his armor. As you can see all the way down, especially on the boots. Of course, he's got the red glove over there holding Mjolnir. Panning back out. His hammer's a little looser in his hand than I would have liked it to be. But even so, there's still some really nice detail on it. And going back out again. And once again, the cape. It seems like it's going to stay on once I have it sitting on a shelf, but in the active handling of the figure, it constantly pops off, which is really disappointing. I would have been completely fine if the cape had been permanently attached to the figure. Actually, I would have preferred that. Now, his head does a full 360. Up and down. His arms go out, do a full 360. No bicep joint. Bend at the elbow and turn, and spin at the wrist. Same for both arms. Does a full 360 at the abdomen. Has a very nice crunch to it. His legs are a little hindered by the way his costume comes down, but not by much. They're ball jointed, spin, double jointed at the knee, and have an ankle joint. So, there's quite a few Thors in this line. I just went with the one that looked the most standard to me and didn't have the light up hammer gimmick. Let's actually try and get his cape back in here. So the Thor line is running you $8 a figure. While he doesn't have a base, this figure's cape helps him stand up, which is very nice. Personally, I think $8 is a little bit much. I'd be more comfortable around $7. I'm really missing a base. The whole sword spike gimmick thing does absolutely nothing for me, although I do understand this is more of a gimmick aimed at kids. Overall, his articulation's solid. So, let's get a quick size comparison. As you can see here, compared to the Marvel Universe Thor, clearly dwarfs him in comparison. And then we go on to a G.I. Joe Cobra Shock Trooper, also holding a hammer. And you can see Thor seems to be actually a little out of scale with other 3 1/4 inch lines. Well, actually it's because of the Joe's base. He's actually roughly... It still appears like he's a tiny bit smaller, but not by much, so he may be just in scale. So he's a solid figure. I do think this line is charging a little bit too much, but it's still a solid figure for the price. And that being said, this is JTrain997. I do recommend Sword Spike Thor, and I'll see you soon, YouTube.